Today, we're going to talk about creating your career roadmap.
Your someday starts today. It's time to explore and test the newest science, methods, and trends for creating a life you love with your host, Tanyamfk. Welcome to My Designed Life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to My Design Life, where we learn and test the latest science, tips, tools, and strategies for you to create your best life every day. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at My Design Life Show and at Tanyamfk, and also on the My Design Life Show podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. I'm your host, Tanya Marie Figueres-Kreisinger, more easily known as Tanya MFK. You are here to learn not only how to create your best life, but how to live it now, and I am thankful that you are here with me today. So with the current state of the world right now, many are finding themselves at a crossroads in their career. Whether it's due to loss, layoffs, a switch in priorities and goals, there are new decisions and directions being made every day. Well, my next guest has a background in counseling and combines that with 15 years of job recruitment to support and guide people in their dream careers. Focusing on more than resumes, she combines mindset coaching, strategy, and action plans to create a detailed, meaningful career roadmap, allowing you to keep focused, disciplined, and motivated throughout your journey. So whether you're searching for the first time, wanting an edge in the market, or looking for new paths and opportunities, today's episode is for you. So please welcome Certified Career Strategist, Sara Curto. Welcome, Sara.
Welcome to My Designed Life.
Thank you very much, Tanya. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, I am super excited. I think it's a really, really important time for us to be talking about this, for people to find out what their options are and know that they don't need to go it alone. And right. And also I'm going to assume we're going to learn there's some new ways for those of us who might have been rusty, finding ourselves in unexpected, situations, that there is a lot of new things we probably don't know about. So with this immense unemployment rate right now, you're really offering like a guiding light in the midst of chaos. So I really want to start out by defining what we're talking about when we say career and what role you play in that search and that decision with people.
Yeah, a career doesn't have to be going after a corner office or a massive bonus. A career is simply a way for you to earn money while you make the impact you want to make in the world. It's pretty simple. So that could be anything and everything. And that's what I love the most about what I do, is
I love
that we uncover all of these different, unique careers that are well suited to individuals, that leave them, like, it sounds corny, but living their purpose, designing their best life, literally. So I think when we have times of change like this, like what we're going through now, it is the perfect opportunity to do that reassessment, to look within, to see what is the type of impact you want to have, and what are the types of jobs and careers that allow you to do that.
Yes. Well, I love that you specified that it doesn't have to be the corner office. It doesn't have to be that next promotion, because I think that is really that tinge we have on that idea. A career is that, and anything outside of that, I don't really like, oh, that doesn't fit me. So I don't know where I start. Exactly. Right. So that was huge. And it's such an important thing for us to discuss and look at right now. And what I'm hearing you say too, is that it's just about taking the time to actually reassess what you really want. Right. Yes. I'm sure you come across that a lot of people find themselves through their career where they are now, kind of based on default. Like it wasn't the grand master plan, right?
Yeah. Well, when we're in high school, we're pretty much told of a few careers. Like if you were like a smart student back then, you heard about doctor or lawyer. Now you hear about engineer, CEO. That happens a little bit more. Or you were pushed towards being a teacher, or maybe into the trades, which sometimes like now you see, but you didn't see as much when I was in school, which meant people felt completely lost in terms of what actually exists out there. So everyone is funneled into an area, and we're taught that what other people view as the right career for you is the right career for you.
Mm.
So we're told that society and your teachers, people of authority, your parents, they are the voices that you should be listening to when it comes to determining your career. And so we
Yeah.
ignore the voice that exists inside of us. And as any voice that is trying to talk to us, um, if we're not listening, it goes away or goes very quiet, or it gets really loud, taking on different forms like
Mm.
anxiety, burnout, stress, depression, unhappiness, and feeling of being unsettled. It wears many different faces, but it's just trying to get our attention like, listen to me. Stop listening to everybody else. And what I saw in the last recession in 2008, 2009 was a resurgence of listening to themselves. And we saw a bunch of new careers. I think the world we live in today with the online world blowing up in terms of where careers can exist and how you can create and carve a niche out for yourself. That happened back then because it allowed people to have the time to listen to that voice again, because there wasn't as many jobs or the jobs looked different. And this is what COVID will give us. So it sucks right
Right.
now. Don't want to take away the lack of the suck, because it does.
Right. We're not
But
negating the suck, anybody.
no. But it's going to give you an opportunity to have some time to reflect and to tap into that inner voice, so that what you're doing next is actually what you want to be doing.
Right. There's
Mhm.
there's so much in that. Bringing up the
Mhm.
fact that we have usually been directed by outside forces. If it wasn't a teacher, if it wasn't a parent, it also could have been on practicality, right? It was like,
Yeah.
well, that's impractical. Or trying to figure out the future. I think I hear that a lot from the younger generation now. Well, I would like to do this, but how do you get paid in that? How do you get paid in that? Like, which seems like a reasonable thing to
Yeah.
request, but I think what we're seeing now is there are so many interesting niches and points that you can come in, you can create and manifest, that we're pigeonholing in what we think is practical.
Yeah.
And yet we can see right now that there's a lot of practical jobs that people are out of that job right now.
Yeah.
That's not even available right now. So that sense of stability or something that's going to be around, may not be the way that we make these choices, and we come back to ourselves. Oh my gosh, we come back to like what feels good, and even giving that platform to have the time to think about it. As you mentioned, the recession in 2008, and now in this time, that it's
Mhm.
really it creates a place and a space for us to hopefully have that reflection. And what I think was interesting when you brought that up was, I don't know that we're ever really given that opportunity to just
Yeah.
let our imagination run wild, to think
Yeah.
of what if. When you said that, it conjured up ideas of job fairs like in high school, and
Mhm.
even those are still very limited. That's
Limited.
what was on the
Yeah.
market right then. In my
Yeah.
case, in the 90s, what was
Yeah.
available, that
Same.
gave me a
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
limited view of what was there. So being able to look at this as an opportunity to come back within, I think definitely, and I'm sure I know you're going to cover this, requires a mind shift,
Yeah.
but
It
is
does.
really that opportunity to look at it completely differently.
Yeah. And like what you and I do right now did not exist
Oh
in
yeah.
the 90s.
Right.
I It didn't even exist pre the last recession. So it is like you can't hold yourself to this ideal
Mm.
that you invested in a certain sort of education, or you invested a certain amount of years into a career. So you've kind of made your bed. Now it's time to lay in it. uh, Things evolve, things change, we evolve, we
Yeah.
change. So you can't hold yourself back because of this external definition of how things should be, because no one knows how things should be, because things are changing at such a rapid pace. And going back to the students and the types of positions, all you can do is create a path that allows you to adapt to all of the things that could come up.
Yeah.
We can't stagnate in fear that we don't know what's coming, or we can't just dig ourselves a hole and stay in it because that is the only choice we see right now, if that makes sense.
Yes. And
Mhm.
and what you said right there is so powerful, because not staying in the fear for
Mhm.
not knowing what's going to happen, that is, I think, drilled into our head at such a young age, that we do need to make that choice. We need to choose a career that's going to be stable. We need to choose a career that has a future. We
Yeah.
First of all, we need to choose a career. We're being asked such a huge thing to do and to conceive at such a young age.
Yeah.
I can, of course, how here we are, 20, 30 years later in our lives, having no idea where to come from, because
Yeah.
we were just forced to choose and try to follow something. So even the idea of sitting back and thinking about it has got to feel so foreign to someone who is finding themselves in this position right now.
Yeah, so and it all starts with the mindset,
Mm-hmm.
and it all starts with what I call is the gaining clarity piece.
Yeah.
And so gaining clarity involves a few different actions that we can take. So the mindset is what now we're focusing on the mind. Gaining clarity is the sort of strategy on how we're going to tap into our mind because we've been ignoring it for so long. And then the actions we can take is I always start, as any good career counselor does, with the Myers-Briggs type indicator. That's my favorite go-to because it enlightens us on who we are as an individual. And it tells us the environment in which we will be most successful. So we can find success in any environment, but you're either white knuckling it. Like I know for me in recruitment, like I was successful, but it was not easy. Like I had to work so hard for every little ounce of success that I had. Whereas now in career coaching, I honestly, like I find success comes to me so much easier because it's the appropriate environment that supports that success. The
Right. So what you found out about your kind of identity and personality, you found something that matches with that you feel you can
matches.
thrive in.
Exactly, exactly. And then the other assessment I really like to do is the Enneagram.
Mm.
Not many career coaches do it, but because it doesn't give us a list of careers to do. But to me, these assessments aren't about getting that list of careers. It's about relearning who we are.
Mm.
And the Enneagram tells us why we do the things we do and we say the things we say. It's our driving motivational force and voice that lives inside us. So that it can allow us to question, are we making decisions because we're moving towards something? Or are we making these decisions because we're afraid to not?
Right. Right. We're
And
usually trying
that,
to remove ourselves from something bad or go
yeah,
towards something good.
yes. So we could be doing it because we're afraid to not be successful, or we're doing it because we want to be successful.
Right.
So kind of like the same thing, but completely different.
Right,
And
exactly.
yeah,
Well, and I think a lot of us have chosen paths at certain points in our lives for like going away towards something. Like, yes, we could go
mhm,
towards success, but I think a lot of it's like, I'm afraid to not be able to pay my bills. I'm going to
yes,
choose a job just to survive. And
yeah,
then, and you tell yourself that, and then 5, 10 years later,
yeah,
you're still there and
still
wondering
there.
why you're
Yeah,
miserable.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
so it sounds like just as the first start of this mindset component, you're giving them a platform, and in your case, you're using Enneagram and Myers-Briggs
Yeah,
too. Give them a moment to actually just sit back and reacquaint themselves with themselves,
exactly. Yeah,
right?
yeah. And
That's a
we
huge starting point. That's it.
and we recognize too, like when this is like my first session is a monster session. It's the longest session we have together
Monster.
because we're sort of relearning this about ourselves, and also we're learning the ways in which we step in our own path, the obstacles we put up in our ways, because everyone is different, and we need to learn what they are in a moment of motivation and excitement. so that when they happen, because they always happen, when they happen, you know what it is so that you don't. Because I stayed in a job I hated for 15 years. And it was the same thing that every time I started to think about changing, it was the same thing that stopped me all of the time. So we want to recognize it so we doesn't stop us, doesn't keep stopping us. It allows us to keep moving.
It's
And
just that sense of overwhelm, right? Like, how would I do it? What would happen? I would have to
yeah,
change this. Like, it just starts to feel too big.
I don't know how. I don't
Right.
know how it's possible.
Mm.
And what I've learned now is, well, of course I don't know how, because if I knew how, I'd be there.
Right.
Like part of change is learning the how or having someone help you learn the how,
Yeah.
and help you come up with it.
How
And
do you combine or combat that mindset as well when they go, this sounds beautiful. This sounds great. I want to look at it this way, but I just need to get a job. I'm just scared. I just need to take whatever comes. And then they would get in that same chart. Do you have something that helps them kind of cut through that limited mindset, that letting go of that fear?
so honestly, if we're at that place of scarcity where we do need to get a job, we have two plans. And like I have a lot of clients with this, where plan A is, yeah, let's get a job. Let's take care of the bills
Hmm.
so that we don't have to worry about that. And then once we're in that job, let's start getting the right job.
Okay. You keep
Okay.
them going. Yeah. Like, okay. Like, you don't let them settle in. They have
No.
someone there going, okay, we have a step two.
Yeah. Step two. Now, great. We got there. You got your bills paid. Now we're not stressing. We're not, fear is not taking up a large portion, and which is an understandable when we
Hmm.
need to pay our bills. I 100% get that. And so
Of
that's why
course.
I love this sort of two-step plan. And
Yeah.
I want to relieve the pressure of that none of this has to happen right this second. And in fact, it won't.
Yeah.
Like we can't expect to change our lives in a week. This is not a
But
process
that's
that
what we want.
I know. That's what I
Right.
want.
Right. We all want. Why
I
can't it
get
be now?
it.
Where's the magic pill?
I know. And honestly, I would be a billionaire if I had a pill that, like, here, in a week, you're gonna have exactly what you want.
Your
You're gonna
life's
need lots
purpose,
of
career,
money. Yeah,
everything's
you're
set
gonna
up.
feel amazing. But unfortunately, that's not the reality. So
Yeah.
we customize our how we're going to create this path towards the right career. And for everyone, it's different. But what we're doing is we're taking care of all of the needs as
Yeah.
we go along.
That's
Mhm.
huge. So you acknowledge the very real
Yeah.
necessity. Like, look, if that's really where it is, if it's not just fear based, if you're not just
Yeah.
like, what if I can't pay bills? You're like, I have this many weeks for something to come in for this. Like you're
Yeah.
working with, I'm saying as a person, they're working with real numbers. Like, I always say
Yeah.
men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're working out of real numbers. And so you acknowledge that and you say, okay, then let's get the plan A. We get that. It's not, and I want to point this out for some people who, so you guys know, she's not coming in with the floofy kind of, don't worry, we're going to manifest
No.
it, it's going to happen. She's like, no,
Yeah.
we're going to figure out how to get the bills paid. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, but I'm also not going to let you settle in, because I think the fear is one thing that can push us towards settling, but
Hmm.
it's and just trying to get something to survive, but it's also the thing that motivates us for the change. So I
Yeah.
could see that someone who has that fear, like, I got to do something, coach, I got to make it happen, and then they get that, well, maybe it's not so bad, I'm getting the
Hmm.
bills paid, and
Yeah.
no, it's not what I love. So it's got to be like, I could see the need for this coach. It's all coming together. Like, this is why you need that person to go,
Why? Yeah.
okay, we're going to keep, because you just spent time with me figuring out the clarity of what you really want, who you
Hmm.
really, what really jives with you.
Yeah.
We're not going to let you get stuck in
No.
this next phase.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
love
we're
that. So
covering off the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So
yeah.
we need to get the security and structure, like the shelter and the food piece
Mhm.
there. But we can't forget self-actualization. We can't forget that living your purpose, that making that impact
Yeah.
you want. And so often we get stuck and settled in this, and the shoulds. I should be happy. As soon as you're saying I should to yourself, like, it's time to reflect and think, like, why am I saying I should? Because
Mm,
otherwise it would be, I am grateful, I am happy.
there you
The
go.
should is an indication that you aren't.
It's a little
And
red flag.
red flags. So even
Wow.
if you are in a job, and I'm hearing people who haven't been impacted and who wanted to find a new career or new job in a better company pre-COVID, and who are now living in the shoulds
Mm.
because they shouldn't be looking for a job, because they should be happy because they have a job. And red flag.
Yeah, there it
Yeah,
is. I
yeah.
love that. That's a nice little piece to carry with you guys. If you're hearing that, go, oh,
Hmm.
this means something. Maybe I
Yeah,
need to look at this.
yeah.
Yeah. So this mindset, I mean, it makes so much sense to come into this in a whole different mind frame, not just go aimlessly wandering, trying to just make ends meet, but really taking a moment to see where you're at, who you
Hmm.
are, what you want, finding that clarity. And this is all before we've gone into like specific careers or ideas or
Yeah.
searching for jobs. Like this is a big thing to step over.
Yeah, and then once we've done that, we move into let's brainstorm all the careers. Let's research it. Let's bring our ideas, both of our ideas, to the table, and we narrow our focus and come up with
Mhm.
sort of a career map of where we see the next couple years or 3 to 5 years, depending on the person and how much they like to plan.
Mhm.
And then we get into the nitty gritty. So everyone, when they think, let's start a job search, they go straight to the resume and they go straight to Indeed. Uh, whereas for me, that's a few steps out,
Yeah.
because we don't know what your resume should be saying, because we don't know what it is you want in terms of the type of job or career. And even if it's the exact same, what are your motivating factors? What's your definition of success, so that your resume, cover letter, and LinkedIn profile can reflect that
Right,
appropriately, so that
right.
it resonates with the readers, all the different types of reading styles
This is
and
that
computer
self-marketing.
programs. It's self-marketing.
Yeah.
And we can't just, it isn't just a piece of paper. Like, I've read over 100,000 of these in my lifetime.
Ooh.
It is not just a piece of paper. Let me tell you, it is a living, breathing document
Yes.
that showcases what you can do for a company. And you want someone to be excited. You want them to be like, yes, I want to know more about this person.
Yeah. Yes, I can attest to that, having been on the other end of also that end as well of reviewing resumes. I can be grueling. And
Grueling. Yeah.
one person I will never forget who sent us a resume, and her cover letter, she just words alone, guys. She didn't talk, oh, I can do this, I can do it. It wasn't a
Mhm.
list of all the things she can do. She just
Yes.
came out with a personality, with a little sass, and it was appropriate for the job. And it was, I was like, hire her. Like
Yes.
I still met with her before that, but I was
Yeah.
like, I'm already ready. Like she
Yeah.
just blew us away. She ended up working with us for a really long time, and now she has her own company, and we still do work with her because she's that
That's
amazing.
amazing.
But like that, it is so much more than just
Hmm.
a list of qualifications.
Yeah.
It's so much more than just I did this, I did this. It's not a as curriculum vitae as it was, right? Like it was
Yeah.
just there's my list, but there is that personality. There's so much that you can do, especially in a market that is extremely crowded, as we know right now. It
Yeah.
is tough out there. And I think that's the one thing everyone's going to ask is, how do I stand out? How do I develop that? So as we've moved from mindset kind of into that strategy. That's when you said we got into the nitty gritty. This is when we started to look at some different careers or
Hmm.
different passions, and maybe found careers in there as well, right? Because I think that's an important part, as you mentioned before, is there are a lot of careers we don't even know,
Hmm.
were options, that
Yeah.
underwater crocheting, we
Yeah.
need it was an option, and like I remember simple things like that people, if you were a scuba diver, well, what does scuba diving do? Oh, they clean barnacles off of boats and yachts, and they get a
Hmm.
ton of money for that. You're like, I never in a
Never
million
knew.
years would have
Yeah.
put two and two together. Like, what are you going to do? Scuba diving is a hobby, and that's just one option that scuba divers can do, guys. Like there's tons of stuff,
Tons.
but not having that, and who has the time, because we were all doing whatever our jobs were, to research what scuba divers
Yeah.
can do, just as a random example, to even have that wealth of information. So that just shows me another place where coming to someone like you just speeds up that process of even
Mhm.
opening up what kind of opportunities we've never even considered, based on those passions, right?
Yeah, so many people will enter in a job title into Indeed and feel that they have researched careers.
Right.
And like a job title will never give you career options. It is, and when we're looking at a career change, it's your transferable skills
Hmm.
and using that as the basis of our research. And
Hmm.
for me, like, I love all of the unique careers that
Yeah.
exist out there. So I am always keeping up to date and researching because for me, it's so fascinating and interesting. I read a lot of like fiction novels about career changes that end up in these like super cool because it's just a thing that I love. And I love bringing things to the table and seeing my clients' eyes like light up, like, what? Like, what's this
I could
now?
do
Like,
what now?
yeah, like you actually think I could do this? And like showing them, like, look at the skills, look at your
Yeah.
skills. Yes, this is possible. And the first step in belief, which that because the mindset continues through,
Right.
is believing in the possibility of something. And
Yeah.
when we believe and see someone else's belief in ourselves, that's usually the foundation sometimes, or the first step. Then we can create like a job search strategy, a career change strategy that allows you to do all of the hard things because it isn't going to be easy.
Mm.
Like that is the thing. A job search
That's
is
part
not
of the
easy.
mindset too, right? It's
Part
not
of the,
gonna
yeah,
be
yeah.
easy.
Like I like in the coaching world, we're supposed to sell things as this is going to be simple, but I'm not going to lie. I am
Yeah.
honest, transparent, oftentimes blunt. It's hard. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but the easiest things aren't always the most worthwhile things. The easiest thing, like I know for me in the last recession, I stayed in a job I hated because it wasn't the right time to move.
Mm.
And then I got laid off.
Ah.
And I wanted to do a career change, but it was hard and I didn't know how to do it. The easy thing to do was to find another recruitment job.
Mm.
And I took the easy way out instead of putting in the time and having, I wish I had someone. I wish
Yeah.
I existed back then because I didn't
Right.
really exist. There wasn't many people like me.
I was just gonna say you're an example of these niche like things of
Niche.
like this doesn't exist. You create this, you start to find the
Yeah.
need and say, I can put these things together, just as we
Yeah.
mentioned in your bio, counseling and job recruitment together into something that's guiding people. You're not
Hmm.
doing job recruitment, you're
No,
not counseling, but you're taking
no.
those two pieces and you're doing some third, you know, zombie version of
Yeah.
that's really like,
Yeah.
a whole different thing that is supporting people in a way that they didn't even know was an option for them. It was an option not just for them as a career, but an option for them to even find like there's someone who does that. Someone can
I
help me
know.
with this.
Yeah. I
You
just
know,
had a recruiting client reach out. He's ready to look for a job. And I'm like, well, now I'm a career coach. And he's like, what's a career coach? I didn't even know that existed.
right,
Yeah. And
right.
like I've had clients be like end of life doulas or
Mm-hmm.
organizing experts. Like, so there is all of this incredible opportunity that it exists out there. And once we know that, we can create the resume, the cover letter, and LinkedIn profile that suits what you're looking for and who the target audience or what they want to be seen. And I know a lot of people put a lot of effort into the resume and into searching for jobs on job boards. But unfortunately, only about 20%, if that, of jobs are secured through a job posting.
Wow.
So the next big area of uncovering these job opportunities and creating a strategy and action plan that's actually going to work is focusing on where the 70 to 80% of jobs are found and secured, and that's through networking.
Wow.
And so we build a very comprehensive, customized networking plan, because I know a lot of people like networking screams networking events, which, not really a thing right now. Or like sending mass emails out to everyone that they know saying, hi, I'm looking for a new job. And it's not that, it's not, or not only all of that. And so creating something that pushes you out of your comfort zone a little bit more, allows you to really have excellent relationship building conversations where you're getting these advocates out there for you that if they don't have a position, they're keeping you in mind, like actually keeping you in mind, not just saying that they're keeping you in mind.
Right.
Yeah, two different things, because they're invested in your success, which creates opportunities and brings them to you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's amazing. You said 70 to 80% of the jobs on it are coming from networking.
Yeah.
And
And if you're in a career change, like career changes very rarely happen through a job posting, because
right.
a job posting on average gets 250 applications.
Wow. For
So if
one
you,
position,
for one position,
250.
yeah. And a recruiter in an applicant tracking system, when the computer reads it and a recruiter reads it, the person, they're looking at as close to match as possible. So if
Right.
you don't have that job title and that, they might not even look at you more seriously. They will do their 3 to 6 second read through, see, oh, no, this person hasn't done this job, so I'm going to move on. A
Yeah.
career change happens through networking, where people then know who you are and what you bring to the table. And the whole concept of you having the exact job title doesn't matter to them.
Wow. That is gold right there, people. Like that
Yeah.
is gold right there to
I'm not
really
just an
think
airy
about that.
fairy. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not just, yeah. Like I'm a career coach who deals with a lot of stats and all of the things, the practicalities of what actually works.
Yeah.
But I'm not just one who lives in that. I'm also one who lives with the mindset and the brain, because how we feel and how we're thinking when we're doing all of those actions to address the stats and the practicalities has a massive impact on our results. So it's
Oh
sort of
yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, well, and that idea that it's a numbers game. Well, if I just,
Mm-hmm.
if I put out 1,500 resumes, and again, you said average. So we're in a very not
Yeah.
average time right now. So I can only imagine those numbers of submissions are significantly increased. Like you said, regardless of the best intentions of the person on that other side, they're still human. And I got to be
Yeah.
honest, I know from my own experience, you're like, I don't want to look at 250 resumes, because that's usually not, their only job. Even an
Yeah.
HR department, that is
Yeah.
not their only job. They have
Mhm.
their other thing to get to. And this is almost a nuisance. So the thing that is just going to be the quickest, the fastest, that makes the most sense, go, oh, like you said, a perfect
Yeah.
match, as opposed to them going, he was a zookeeper, but you know what? That
Yeah.
skill's transferable. I
Yeah.
could see
No,
how his giraffe experience, like you're asking too much of them. You're
too much.
expecting too much, because they may very well cross over, but
Yeah.
that's not their place to take the time or want to necessarily
Yeah.
to see that, and maybe there's some stories of that one person like, I could just tell it'd be great. But the reality is, and what Sarah's told us here is, this is like the Pareto principle, 20% of your effort brings 80% of the results, so that
100%.
80% of your time sending out resumes, really that 20% of marketing,
Yeah.
sorry, of marketing, of networking, which is
Yeah.
also marketing yourself, is really what's going to pay off, which is a lot of numbers here, but 70 to 80% of the jobs you have to get are
Yeah.
from that effort of you just showing up and starting to talk with people, meet people, whether it was an event or, like you said, like actually spending your time in life, probably just
Mm-hmm.
developing that network. And as soon as you said that, it reminded me of years back when I was in a position to look for jobs, and I had sent many resumes. I did that whole thing. And I finally just called a friend and said, can you just, I'm looking, if you could let someone know. And I kid you not, I think 3 days later, I had a job and I was hired through like our network of people. She was like, I got it. We need somebody with I do marketing. So it was like, we got that.
Mm-hmm.
And we were set. It was like, why didn't I just call her first? Why did I spend all my time with these resumes? Not that you don't do that. I don't want to say not to do it,
But it's true though. And like the thing is with job boards is like the job search is isolating by nature. Like it's you doing this one thing. So number one, a career coach helps you not feel so alone. But the thing with job boards is they're a black hole. So we're sending out all of these resumes and we hear back from like maybe 1% of them. Maybe if you're good, like in terms of your resume and you're looking for a lateral move, you're hearing back from 20 to 30% of them. So you live in this, like, am I even doing it right? Am I even
right? Did they even get it? Did they get that email after all? Like sometimes it's as simple as that. Like, was my computer working that day?
I'm checking your sent file or checking your application history. And it feels extra lonely. Whereas networking, not only like I love networking. It's got me lots of opportunities. I can wax poetic about it forever. But not only does it create opportunities, not only does it improve your ability to sell yourself and talk about yourself, it also gets you engaging with people. It gets you out of your head and out of that black hole of the job boards and interacting with people, which is, again, for your mindset, so necessary. It helps keep up that positive mindset, that belief that this is actually possible for yourself.
Yes. And you know what's interesting too is in that networking idea, not only yes, there's camaraderie or brotherhood of like, I want to help you out, but going from a selfish standpoint on the other end, when you network with someone, say, hey, I'm looking, if you keep the word out, they say, I'll keep you in mind. And then on their end of the pool, someone says, hey, I'm looking for someone. They get to be the hero. By coming in and mentioning, hey, so they have a vested interest that's kind of outside of you that they get to go, oh, I know someone. I can come in and help. So, you're even just increasing your chances because now they get to be the hero. They get to be the savior. You get something out of it. So it's a whole different relationship, like you said, than sending just the resume to more the king emperor who's going to decide whether or not you're worthy. So it's something to think about as well. Is like they really do gain something out of that to help whoever's asking to be like, I got it. I helped.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then once you get to an interview phase, like you're already comfortable talking about yourself, selling yourself, telling people what you want. But you've also gained intel on the role, the company, the team, all of this information that can help you prep so that you like ace that interview like no other, because all of your answers can then be tailored to exactly this scenario, which if you had just sent a resume in, you would not know.
You know as much as me. If they have a website, you know as much as their website tells you.
Exactly.
You don't have the intel from the former employee or anything else. So
you don't have them say, like, if you ask the question in networking, what are some of the skills that you as a hiring manager or your boss, if you're talking to a potential peer, look for? And then when they say, what are your strengths? You're like, 1, 2, 3. It's like, here you go, silver platter. I'm the best. You don't have that information just from a job posting.
That's huge. So you work in, so after the mindset and then going into kind of the strategy, making some decisions, really taking that information from the mindset section, putting it into paper, into something more tangible. Then from there, they start to do their search. You start to set up and do the actual action parts of that strategy, setting up the resume and the LinkedIn to reflect that. And then do you work with them at setting up like a networking strategy, like go out a certain amount of times
100%.
or resources? Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So every session we touch on the mindset, strategy, and action. It just changes on how much because it is always there. Now the first few sessions will be more mindset heavy, and then we get more strategy heavy, and then we get more action heavy. But we're always tweaking the strategy. We're always making sure that the mindset is in that positive space. And when we're looking at the action plan, it changes every week depending on availabilities. And then we're breaking it down. Like we're literally like, how many hours do you have this week? I have 20 hours. Okay, what are we going to do with those 20 hours? This is say 10 hours in networking. What are we going to do with those 10 hours? Like we are breaking it down.
Yeah, making it real.
Decisions, making it real, because we don't do that. I hear all the time, I need a new job. I'm going to treat it like a full-time job. And that's all I hear.
Right.
Well, number one, like the job search is the worst job in the world. So let's not spend 40 hours a week doing it. Let's not
Right.
spend 8 hours a day scrolling through Indeed, refreshing, hoping and praying that a new job has come up, or 10 hours tweaking and overanalyzing your resume where it becomes this like mishmash and hodgepodge collection of feelings of how you were doing and all of these jobs. I see that and like all the time. Let's be intentional and structured with our time so you can spend less time doing it and getting more results.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I love that. This is, I mean, it's just so needed right now. It makes so much sense to take this different approach than the, throwing, spraying the bullets and seeing what sticks kind of thing, to really go through. And I could imagine that once you've gotten through maybe that clarity as well, that initial like search, that space you gave them to let their imagination run wild, it might be a little more fun. I mean, I hesitant to say that, guys, but it could actually maybe be a little fun because you're applying for things you've never applied for. Sometimes you're looking for things. You're maybe saying new things about yourself and have a new sense of confidence, I would believe, even if you're staying within the career. But after working with someone like you to look at that different mindset and selling your skills in a different way and meeting new people through networking, it's got to be such a different experience, and definitely not feeling hopeless anymore.
No, and it does become fun.
Yeah.
And it's so fun when it's working, like, and you're seeing all of the ways in which it's working and you're able to create opportunities for yourself. Also when it's not working, because I have that insider point of view, it's like I'm able to get you out of your head to say that this isn't like we have everything is right. And have everything right. And sometimes it just doesn't work out. And this could be some of the behind the scene reasons that we just don't know that could make this be going off track a little bit. And that's fine.
Right.
But I think what a lot of my clients can say is that I take something big and scary and horrible feeling and I make it a possibility. I give the accountability to keep them on track, and that when they look back, it was actually an enjoyable experience because they weren't like living and breathing the suck. Like it doesn't have to be that way. It can be something completely and entirely different.
Yes. And I love that you mentioned like that, even just having someone there. There's only so many times we can ask our roommate or our spouse or someone like, what do you think? Does this sound right? Did I do it right? Nor do they want to hear it. So to have somebody like you to say, yeah, because this is literally what I do for a living. I can tell you in confidence, you did this right. Or I can tell you in confidence, we should adjust these 4 things. Leave your poor, spouse or roommate alone.
Yes. Because they don't know.
Yeah.
Like I've read hundreds of LinkedIn profiles. I've interviewed like over 10,000 people. Like I know what worked for me. I saw the faces and heard the feedback from hiring managers. I saw how networking created opportunities that we got these 500 applications, but it went to someone who networked their way in. Like when you come to me, it's not just for everything else, like everything else helps, but also to know and have the guidance of that trusted expert that you're doing the right thing. And it's just knowing that makes everything else so much easier because you're not living in that state of confusion.
Yeah.
Like just to me, the worth of investment in getting rid of the confusion, never mind all of the rest of the stuff, like is incredible in terms of the results you can get just from eliminating that.
Well, and that's the unique piece that it just makes no sense. That is the piece that you bring together, having this counseling background, to work with people, understand, meet them where they are, mentally and emotionally, because it's a scary place. There's so many feelings coming through with this, that worries, whatnot. And then going, not only that, but I have literally been finding people jobs for 15 years. I know what they're looking for. I know what they're being asked. I mean, it's incredible. And it's been exciting just learning about this as well. As we said, this niche that like I didn't know exactly existed. I think we've heard of recruiters, but I was like, this is interesting. What is this all about? So, well,
Yeah.
before my last question, can you please
Mhm.
tell everyone where they can find you, how they get in touch with you, how they work with you, how all this happens?
Yeah, so I would say the first place to go is the Facebook group, Career Networking Group. Okay. I have so many trainings. I do live challenges all the time, and they're all saved in there. So just for you to get a taste of what I know and what you can do, like right now, go to the Career Networking Group. The second place is I'm on Instagram at Sara the Career Coach, Sara no H the Career Coach, and my website www.saracurto.ca. Those would be the best places to find me.
Awesome. So they can come in. A good place to start is to go in and they can just get a free support by coming into your Facebook group.
Oh yeah, 100% free. Like, and I love it because it's a partnership when people like when we work together. Like you need to know that I can coach you right, and the best way to see that is through some of my trainings and through some of my coachings with other people that you can see in there, and that gives you insight into okay, I think Sara is the person that could help me find a job right now.
Right, right. Yeah, that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. And so you guys can go in there and get those resources, get some information right away. And
Yeah.
then from there, if you're like, oh, I got to step this up, then you know it's time to get a hold of Sara.
Yeah,
Right.
set up a free call with me and we'll chat about your struggles of where you are now. We'll talk
Right.
about where you see yourself going, even if it's hazy, even if it's foggy right now. I'll show you some blind spots that I think that could be getting in the way. I'll give you some insight. So whether we choose to work together or not, you leave the call with an action step or two of what you need to do next. But we do also talk about what it's like to work together and what kind of things we can make happen for you.
Right. So every area you're going to have some value to come in and learn some stuff, get the trainings, talk with her one-on-one, and then from there, you know, if you're ready or need it, you know, you can take the next step and really go in. And how does that go? Is it like a certain amount of time? Is it just ongoing till they get a job? Is that kind of
Yeah,
depends on the person?
it usually depends on the person. We typically, the best is 3 months.
Okay.
So the average job search is about 3 to 6 months. That could
Wow.
change. Like, and it
Yeah.
was changing slightly about 4 to 7 months right before COVID. But I find even in COVID, 3 months, I've had lots of clients finding jobs. I've had clients get
Amazing.
multiple offers during COVID. And one of our calls is,
Yeah.
which offer should I choose? So much fun.
Wow.
But 3 months is the best place to start in terms of making sure we're figuring out exactly it is what you want, coming
Yeah.
up with a strategy of making it happen, and then keeping you accountable every step of the way and addressing all of the obstacles that come up.
That's amazing. I love
Mhm.
this. Well, so for my last question, what is one thing? So, someone that's in this position, spinning their wheels, if they want to start making a way and a path to change their experience or maybe one up or anything, what would be the one thing you say they could do this week to start moving in the right direction?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to actually give two things,
Okay.
if that's okay. The first is the building the belief that it can happen for you.
Hmm. That
Okay.
mindset.
The mindset piece. There's no point if you are a 0 out of 10 or 1 out of 10, if we're doing it on the scale of this is never going to happen for me. I want you to examine why. What are the things that you're thinking that are telling you that this is impossible for you? And then let's see, is there something else you can think instead that push you closer to that 10 out of 10? Because if you are a 0 or a 1, let me tell you, you're not going to do anything
Mm.
because we are wired to fear failure, and we are wired to just settle instead of putting ourselves out there.
Yeah.
And so if we're at a 1 out of 10, we're like, we're definitely going to fail. So I may as well just, do nothing.
We'll be really good at that self-fulfilling prophecy.
So good at the self-fulfilling prophecy. We're feeling hopeless. No one does anything when you're feeling hopeless.
Right.
Whereas if you can build that to like a 10 out of 10 out of belief or an 8 out of 10 of belief, you're more willing to do all of the hard things. You're more willing to take massive action and putting yourself out there for, like, example, networking. For example, doing the hard work of going internal to see what it is you really want and not what everyone else is telling you you want. Because failure isn't as much of an option. May it happen? Maybe. But you're believing that it is possible for yourself. So you're more willing to do all of those hard things.
Yeah. And failure, that's the thing, is failure is not an end result.
No,
And then
it's
nothing stops there. So it's just a blip. It's like,
yeah.
okay, that didn't work. Moving
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. I guess that wasn't it. I guess that's not how
Yeah.
I figure out my impact. Like, it's just a step along the way. But when you've been avoiding failure for so long, it doesn't feel like just a step. It feels like an end result. And so taking massive action, like, I don't want to scare people, but it will lead to some failures.
Yeah.
But it makes failure less scary. Like, I know for me in building a business, I was terrified of failure, and I have failed so many times in the best way possible, because if I didn't fail, I wouldn't be here today. If I didn't put myself out there, I wouldn't be helping people get into the careers that they love instead of staying stuck in a job that they hate.
Oh, yeah.
So I can
Well,
only do that for you by being okay with failure.
and I will say right now, guys, if you're watching this show, My Design Life, and you have lived up into this point and not failed, you are not living big enough.
Yeah,
Period. There
exactly.
is so much out there, and the only way we learn is through failure. Failure,
Yeah.
it's not a dirty word. It is one of the
Nope.
strongest words. Ray Dalio says, pain plus reflection equals progress. So the way we get to progress is actually going through those moments of failure, which really are just learning moments to move forward. Without that, we're not progressing. You are playing it safe. You're staying at where you are, and if you don't have to guess the future anymore, because it's going to
Yep.
be exactly what it is now, because you're not doing anything different. So if you
Exactly.
want something to change, if you want something exciting, you want something different, that's where you think big, you go big, and you embrace that failure. Say, absolutely, it can happen, and it's not going to stop me. I can keep
No,
moving on.
keep
So
moving.
so step one is to really shift that mindset
Yeah.
to believe that they can, that this can happen.
Yeah.
And then what is our next one?
So the step 2 would be to join the career networking group and watch the job search roadmap training course that I
Okay.
have, because then that gives you the strategy and action. We take
Right
care of the
there.
mindset, the strategy and some action plan is right in that. And I also know when we're building belief, that being able to check something off a to-do list in our heads or on paper, like, that helps. It goes a long way. So I
Yeah.
want to give you
There's
something
science behind that. It gives us our reward
yeah.
area of our brains. It actually
Yeah.
really does move us towards something. So
So
absolutely.
I want to give you something actionable that you can do that feels like you're moving towards something.
Love it.
Mhm.
Yes. This has been amazing. Thank you
Good.
so much, Sarah. Really, this
Welcome.
has just been,
So
I think,
fun.
so helpful for so many people who are in this position, maybe worried about this position, about being in that position, or even just considering the change. Right? You may not even be
Mhm.
searching, but you may have been on the fence. You may be going, I've been thinking about, but and you have all those worries that she mentioned earlier. So this is, yeah, has just been so wonderful. Are there any last words you'd like to share with the listeners before we wrap up?
Yeah, I just 50% of people at least hate their jobs. They
Mm,
hate them. And they hated them either when they were in them or they're continuing to hate them now. Let's use this time as an opportunity to become one of the people that love their career, that
yeah.
allows them to make the impact. And let me help you. It's the thing I love most in the world, is to help people find their right careers.
Yes, you guys take that to heart. Life is too short to
Short.
hate something that you're doing every day.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, it's one thing, cleaning the house now and then, but come on, every day, 8 hours a day to hate what you're doing.
Yeah.
50% of us, that is not an okay number.
No.
Definitely want to be on the right side of that
Yeah.
50%. So, all right. Well, thank you so much again for
Thank
being here.
you.
All right, guys. So If you or someone you know is searching or considering a career change or just on the fence, not believing that life can be different, make sure they get in touch with Sara. Okay. She is at Sara the Career Coach on social media and on her website at saracurto.ca, and get on the path to create the future that you want. So as always, you can connect with us at My Design Life Show and at Tanyamfk on Facebook and Instagram, and get support to create the business and life that you want through our courses, workshops, and coaching at tanyamfk.com. And if you like this episode, then make sure to click that subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified when our next show is up. And remember, your someday starts today, so make it the best. I'm Tanyamfk, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. You can catch us every week at 1 p.m. EST live on the My Design Life Show Facebook page and on YouTube at the Tanyamfk channel. See how the challenges go by following us on Facebook and Instagram at My Design Life Show and at Tanyamfk. Do you have a method, tip, or hack you'd like to share or explore? Submit to be a guest or suggest a topic by visiting mydesignlife.show.